Welcome back to the Eyecare Experts, Dr. Bell, Dr. Terrezza, and we have Dr. Cal with us again. This one, we've talked a little bit, I think, different avenues, but this time we're going to kind of put it all together. But the topic today is protecting vision on and off the job. What can you do? I guess depending on, we're going to talk about different jobs and what it entails, what to look for, how to kind of maybe lower strain and lower the chances of just having any accidents or anything like that in the job. But computer vision syndrome, certainly digital workforce, it seems like everybody, pretty much every patient we see is, we always ask, are you on the computer? And most of them say yes, 6, 8, 10 hours a day. What do y'all usually tell patients, computer and things to look for and things that will help?
Go ahead, Dr. Cal, you want to give it a shot?
So I always tell people the 20-20-20 rule. So that is every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break to look 20 feet away. And I also tell people to do full blinks because if you didn't know, if you're looking on a screen for a long time, you're actually blinking less, and a lot of people do these half blinks, which kind of leaves like the bottom part of your eye still exposed, which leads to dry eyes and a lot of other issues.
No doubt, as far as just staring at the screen. The other thing I usually say is, they may have a slight prescription. So we always want to see these patients in the office to say, hey, do they have just a little bit of astigmatism? Are they a little bit farsighted? Because maybe they see well in general, maybe they see 20/20, but if you have a small prescription and you're staring at the computer 8 hours a day, it can put strain on the visual system. So maybe a little bit of correction, a little bit of plus will help them maybe not necessarily see better, but so the eyes are not having to focus, accommodate, and strain as hard throughout the day. And the other topic we love to have is discussing blue light filters. And so I'll weigh in and then you can kind of take it from there. But the one thing is blue light, we heard years ago as far as does it do damage? If you're staring at your phone or you're staring at the computer, does the blue light do damage to the visual system over time? The jury is still out. I don't think there's any evidence to point to that as far as doing damage. But I will tell you this, because certainly I work on 9 Mile and I see a lot of patients who work at Navy Fed and other places. And I would say 8, maybe 9 out of 10 will say who get blue light will say at least it helps with fatigue and contrast, and any edge you can get when you're staring at the computer, 8, 10 hours a day, I think it's beneficial.
Well, we disagree on this one because in my opinion, as I state to my patients, marketing got ahead of the science here. So the physics reports and the American Academy of Ophthalmology believe that it has very little value. And the idea of it affecting sleep patterns, that is mostly conjecture and has not been proven. Now, there's various theories on this, but they're all subjective. So I'm not a big fan of blue light. I am a fan of anti-reflective coatings for computers. I am a fan of small prescriptions for computers. I am a fan of tints and polarized lenses and UV filters and yellow lenses, blocking certain wavelengths. So there's multiple things you can do that I promote because I like it.
Well, no doubt. I think the 10 that's one I didn't think too much about, but certainly depending on what you do, are you do you shoot, do you play golf, or is it a fast moving sport, a slow moving sport? Even the Nike contact lenses back in the day, we used to have a little bit of color variations, but certainly depending on what environment you're in, it can maybe pick up the ball a little bit sooner just based on the tint and cutting out certain wavelengths. So that's a big one.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Dr. T on this one with the blue blockers. I feel like it's also more of a placebo. There's not have been many studies that has shown that it reduces like digital eye strain, but some people say it does help, but it could just be placebo.
While we're on this subject, let's talk a little bit, when they said veering too far from that, but talking about migraines, talking about the lenses that treat migraines and how they work, and I think that's a big one because I can't tell you, today alone I probably had, I think, 4 or 5 patients that had severe migraines.
Oh, I've had good success with that lens. It's a company called Aviolux, And it blocks certain wavelengths. It was developed by a gastroenterologist at Cleveland Clinic who had two little girls who migraines became debilitating. So they dropped out of school, they had to come home, it got worse. He couldn't even have the lights on in his house. And so he, being an MD himself, he brought them to all the best clinics all over the country, and nobody could find anything. So it got to the point where he wore a construction hat with a small light on it and got around his house, and he felt like a prisoner. So he hired a physicist, he rented a lab, and set up a program to test wavelength by wavelength. Wavelength is a measure of the thickness of a certain band of light, and each wavelength can be associated with different colors and different properties. Anyway, he did that for 2.5 years, and he isolated 2 wavelengths that were associated, he felt, with migraine. And he made the lenses up and put them on his daughter's, and his daughter's migraine stopped cold. And he was so astounded with that he then put it in his clinic at Cleveland Clinic, and then got more and more. And anyway, he wound up founding a company, and he got FDA approval in April of last year to produce these lenses. Insurance doesn't pay for them at this time. They're still looking at it and consider it an investigational device. But it's FDA approved. And I've tried it almost 13 times. I've had 6 successes, roughly 50%. And my favorite was a nurse that was having migraines that could only work 4 days a week, one of the days inevitably, and it kept switching where she couldn't go to work. And so I fit her with the lenses, and within 2 weeks she was working 5 days a week, and she got rid of her migraines totally and completely. And that was very gratifying. So I'm very sold on the lenses. And what I do is a function of, because I don't know what patient will be able to use this or not, I charge a small deposit in case they grow legs and walk away. And if they don't work, you get your money back. And that's simple. And we have trial lenses for that purpose.
No,
so I think I've got it. I've got a good angle of approach here.
Sounds great. Thank you for that. Thank you. Switching gears a little bit, we were talking about the digital workforce. Now we're kind of going to industrial, outdoor, safety glasses, depending on what you're doing, construction, manufacturing, landscaping, equipment. It seems like, most people, it could be shaving metal. There's so many things in an environment that could fly up, that could get you in the eye. And it's just better to have the safety goggles for protection versus coming in with a foreign body and us having to dig it out of the eye.
That's right.
This is one of my favorite themes, that if you discover a problem earlier, it's much easier to fix. It turns out that 90% of eye injuries and traumatic accidents to the eye can be prevented. Well, that's a lot. And all the trauma and the expense and the emotional distress that's associated with that can be eliminated. So I like protective eyewear. We fit it, we make it in our lab. We have our own in-house lab, and we fit the 3 types of lenses, the Trivex, the polycarbonate, and plastic.
And I know when I worked in Jacksonville, Florida, I worked right up the street from Tulsa Welding School. So, most of them are, but you just never know. And even sometimes wearing protection, you can still have issues, things maybe fly around the side or stuff like that, but it certainly lowers the chance quite a bit. The other things sometimes we don't think about is just cutting grass in the yard, maybe doing some weed eating or something like that, and something pop back up and get you. So it's always the better be safe than sorry. Mm-hmm. So try to make an effort before you start the task. If you're wearing safety gloves, you're wearing safety attire, certainly make sure you're wearing something safety as far as eyewear for the eyes to protect them. Right. Anything else on, you mentioned ANSI standards as far as protection, as far as lenses and frames. Certainly we offer through us, whether it be Palafox or offices, sometimes patients will come in and say, hey, I just want a pair of safety glasses as a separate pair. Sometimes maybe they're, depending on where they work, it may be a feature or cover, or they pay for it. But certainly we're willing to do whatever we can to make sure you're protected and taken care of the best that we can do that.
Yeah, depending on that environment, whether it's radiation or projectiles or bloodborne pathogens. We have goggles, we have full face shields, and we do all that.
We're talking about ways to prevent it, but of course, if it does happen, certainly give us a call. We're always wanting to, if it's an object in the eye, metal, foreign body, we're going to work in same day as quickly as we can to certainly to take care of that, because the cornea has a lot of nerve endings. And if anything affects that as far as a corneal abrasion or metal or something in the eye, it's very painful. And certainly, as you can imagine, the longer it stays there, it's going to become more and more of an issue. So we want to get you in. If your eye is painful, if it's red, you think something got in there, but you don't know, certainly give us a call. We can, certainly work you in for an office visit. All of our locations, all of our providers, we have set schedules, but we also leave spaces for office visits to get those same day appointments in there.
And we accept most medical insurances also. And we have 5 people in an insurance department that file for you, take all that information, and weed through all the details of that for you.
And, the thing I always say too is, depending on whatever you're doing, as far as vision-wise, I have patients who say to me every day, "Oh, I can see pretty good." But when you get down to the refraction and you say, "Hey, you got, your +2, or you got a diopter of astigmatism," all of these things can help you day to day, not only to see better, but also, maybe make you more productive, make it easier to see the computer screen. Maybe your depth perception's better. Maybe it'll help prevent an injury or something happening if you're able to see it sooner when something's coming at you. But what do you think, Dr. Cal, as far as any more recommendations we hadn't covered as far as safety glasses or just work environment? Any recommendations you would talk about?
Yeah, so especially like outdoor workers, like working in construction, very important to have those, like safety goggles, but also like tinted ones, like sunglasses that are helping to protect like not just the back of the eye, but also the front of the eye from things like pterygiums, pinguiculas, early cataracts, things like that. Yeah.
No, that's a good point. That's as far as sunlight, UV light, certainly in Florida, it can do damage for sure. We talked about polarized sunglasses earlier, certainly eliminating those rays that reflect off of asphalt or water surfaces. And we have, all of our offices have numerous brands of sunglasses, whether it's a name brand or something you're looking for. Go to our website. Each office, I think, is a little bit unique, and sometimes maybe Palafox has this, but maybe Milton has that, where if it's a certain brand, I can pretty much bet that one of our offices will have that brand.
We cover about 90% of them.
Yeah. And I think we all kind of get partial to one, but and then if you're in an office and you say, "Hey, I've got this," we can order, if we need a different size, maybe, I've got a big head, maybe we need larger temples or larger eye size, certainly we can order those, so just let us know how we can help you. But I think, as far as computer, regardless, just do all you can. Let us, if we can help you in any way, get you set up, let us know. We appreciate you joining it. From Dr. Terrezza, Dr. Bell, Dr. Cal. Let us know if we can help you, and stay tuned for future podcasts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.